because the music business, in fact, the entertainment business can be quite cutthroat, and there's contracts, there's different conditions and things. So having that law background, did that help you in that regard? Because you were a criminal lawyer. Is that different to, say, being an entertainment lawyer? But are the fundamentals the same?
Yeah, I'd done a lot of contract work. So, and I'd also seen how people can get ripped off and all that kind of stuff. Dodgy contracts, people, the way people get out of paying people when they owe them. I think all of that was very, very valuable. I don't let it go a day without being paid. You know, if the due date's there, I'm on it because I know that people just, the squeaky wheel's the one who gets paid. And as far as like helping me in the entertainment industry, I'd say it's been good because I haven't signed any dodgy management contracts. And I did get offered a few when I was in the UK performing over there. And I decided it was not very valuable for me to be signing them, and I was way too locked in. But I also think it can be a hindrance because you then, yes, you're not tied up by a contract, but you didn't let someone take a chance on you. So I have to be careful that I'm not overly careful with contracts and stuff and just go, you know what, I've got to take a risk with this person and sign. So yeah, I found that recently. I had to tell myself, stop being a lawyer and just sign the damn contract. If you get ripped off, you get ripped off. It's, you know, it's just scary sometimes.
You mentioned just before in the UK, there was some, I guess, dodgy contracts. What sort of stood out for you in those contracts that made them dodgy? What were their alarm bells ringing off in your head?
Well, I think looking at what they're putting in, which was not much money or anything. So you're like, okay, so what exactly am I getting out of it? I'm just signing a contract and they're going to manage me. What
To be an
context?
investment. Yeah.
Yeah, like what are they investing in it? Also, anything I'd released in the past was all tied up. They then got acts, they then basically owned. So that was no good. A bit like those, if you go on like if you go on You're the Voice, I was gonna say, if you go on The Voice, those contracts are really, really tight. And that's why I've never done one of those shows because they own your past music. They own it for like, I think, I don't know how many extra years, like 5, 10, whatever it is. So I think those were the things that worried me. But I think now being an independent artist, it's almost very important to make sure you have control over when you can release music and just being able to put music out. Because if you sign with a label and they say you can't release, you can't release. So, which happens to a lot of artists, their music gets shelved and they're saying, oh, not now. And that's really frustrating. So for me, if I decide I want to put a song out, I just put it out.
We just had this season of Australian Idols back in
Oh,
Australia.
right.
This was the
Uh-huh.
second season. Well, the second last year was the first season where it came back. This year was the second year. Rated really well. You know, the guy had a really good song and stuff. So you've obviously seen some of those contracts from these shows. What are the main things to look out for young artists with those contracts and going on these shows? What do they need to look out for as far as, you know, those dodgy contracts, those dodgy clauses, which you can maybe negotiate out or something like that?
So it's interesting because I've never gone on one of those shows because they really lock in the music side of things. But I just came off Big Brother, and that contract I thought was way too tight as well. But you weren't allowed to negotiate the clauses. So like in an ideal world, I would have been crossing out a few clauses in there or negotiating them. They're like, well, if you want to be on the show, that's it. And I would say with Australian Idol and The Voice, I imagine it's the same. You can't really negotiate. So,
Mm.
but you know, a contract, the terms can't be completely unfair. If you went to court, the court would knock out the really unfair terms of the contract. But the reality is, you know what you're signing, and they're giving you a big opportunity. I think it is worth the risk, especially if you're younger and maybe don't have much of a music career. Then I think it's probably worth going on those shows because you've got nothing to be tied up at that stage anyway.